Thank you. Thank you for that great applause. Well, I first want to thank Mr. Porter and Mr. Marine, because those two great teachers met me a couple weeks ago when I gave a talk at a place called the World Affairs Council, and they came up to me and said, would you like to talk at a grade school in Santa Monica? And I said yes. So they're two good teachers because they can see, when they asked me that, they were not thinking of themselves, they were thinking of you. And they thought how maybe something I could do or say to come here and help you. So those are two great teachers. I want to thank those guys. I know there's a lot of other teachers here. I haven't met them all, but I want to thank the Calathorpe School just for having me and just for being a great institution right here in Santa Monica. I live here in Santa Monica, so it's an honor to be here. So thank you guys for having me, and I'm going to get started. So I work for the International Red Cross, and my title is the Head of Emergency Operations. So I'm going to tell you quickly what is the Red Cross, a little bit about that. I'm going to talk about Syrian refugees and how we are supporting them, and then I'll talk a little bit about the Nepal earthquake and how we are supporting people who were affected by the earthquakes last year in Nepal. How many guys in here have heard about the earthquakes last year in Nepal? Oh, wow. Everybody. All right. So I better be on my game, because if I'm talking to people who know what's going on, that really makes it good for me. Okay, so is there anyone here who is a Red Cross volunteer? Or been a member of the Red Cross? You are. Great. You're a Red Cross volunteer?
On occasion, not a full time.
What is your name?
If there's a need, I'll volunteer.
Great. And what's your name?
Oshra.
Oshra, and you're a teacher here? Well, one of your great teachers is a Red Cross volunteer. So I will tell you a bit, just quickly, what is the Red Cross. So in order to tell you what is the Red Cross, I need to tell you about a person. So the Red Cross is the idea of one person, one guy, who came up with a great idea. That guy there. Anybody know who he is? Okay, so his name is Henry Dunant. And over 150 years ago, he was walking, doing his job, and he came across a battle. There was a battlefield that had just ended, and there were soldiers on the field, and there were still some who had been killed, but some were wounded and alive. And he had a great idea. He went to a nearby town. He got some volunteers. He got them to gather some medicines. And they went to the battlefield, and they helped the soldiers that were still alive. But the difference is, they helped all the soldiers, no matter which side they were on in the battle. So this is what we call, he came up with neutral assistance. So he didn't care who he was helping or which side they were on. He was just treating people who were affected by this war. And that's how the idea started. And since then, it is an idea that has grown all around the world. We have over 190 Red Cross and Red Crescent societies, including the American Red Cross here in the U.S. And we provide assistance to whoever needs it, whether it's in a war or an earthquake or a flood, any type of problem, disasters, conflict. That's it. So that's the story of the Red Cross. This is our founder. I think it's interesting. It's just one guy who came up with a great idea. He also has great sideburns, but I'm not going to do that yet. Maybe someday. But maybe someday one of you guys will come up with a great idea too. So, starting to talk about Syria. Now I know that a lot of you guys know a bit about what's going on in Syria. I know the 5th grade class is looking at the conflict in Syria. So I'm just going to show one map here real quick. I know you guys know the map, but over here is Syria and Iraq. And these red lines, these is people that are leaving Syria. Kids, adults, they're trying to flee and get away from the conflict and the fighting, and just a really bad situation there. So there's a lot of different countries they're going through: Turkey and Greece and Bulgaria and Serbia, Romania, Croatia, Hungary, Slovenia, Austria, Belgium, Netherlands. Some of them are going all the way up to Norway. Some are coming through Morocco and Africa going into Spain. So this is where I was recently working. This was my last mission for the Red Cross, and I just came home here to Santa Monica. And also, there's going to be, you can ask any question you want at the end, I believe is what we're going to. Yeah? Okay, so I have a few pictures to show you what it's like in the work we do. This is a picture from inside Syria, and this is the border in Turkey, and these are people waiting to get out. All these people are just trying, going all the way back up there, they're all trying to get across to get to safety. All right? And they're getting into Turkey, and then they're going to Greece. And when they're getting into Greece, they're trying to get over across the ocean on boats. So they're loading up on, these are boats, and this is a picture I took just on the beach in Greece, and this is people coming, and every day there's many people coming, trying to get out of the bad situation they're in. Many of these boats are kind of dangerous, and the water's cold, and they're really filling them up. So this is another picture of a boat. I did not take this. This is a boat of refugees, and you can see they really are filling them up. So it's a really full boat. So if you can imagine, if you're on there, maybe with your mom and your family, and you don't know where you're going, and there's nowhere to move. So it's a pretty scary ride is what it is. When they get to the other side, we can see how it's really, there's no space for anyone else to get on them. So they're trying to get to the next country. And you'll notice they'll put all the kids in the middle here. A lot of the adults are around the outside, but this is a raft, this one, so it's filled with air. Many of you have probably been on a raft. Anyone here go rafting? Yes? Oh, you guys, rafting is great, right? But not when it's crowded like that, I don't think. So they're trying to get out, and this is what it looks like. And this is what it looks like when they land. So when they get close to the shore, they have problems getting out of the boat. And sometimes the boat is sinking because they want to sink the boat because they're afraid they'll be sent back. So they put a hole in the raft with a knife, and they let the air out, and then everyone falls in the water. And you can see here, this is a guy whose feet is up in the air. Maybe some of you have been rafting like that, but I hope not. And some of the children, they try to get off the rafts first, and you can see this is a mother, and she's lowering her daughter down there, and the water's, it's very cold water, so it's a very difficult situation. And we are there, the Red Cross is there, and we're trying to help. And this is what we're trying to do. So this is some of our rescue teams. So we have equipment. You can see that they're well trained. They have rubber boots on because the water is very cold, and we can help people get rescued, like this little girl here, so she doesn't fall in the water and drown or anything like that. So that's what we're doing. Then when we get people onto the shore, we give them first aid. This is a girl. I remember her. She cut her foot on the rocks when she got out. So this is one of our Red Cross volunteers, just like your teacher here, working on the weekends in Greece, doing some first aid on her foot, and that's her mother there on the beach as they arrive. And you'll see these silver blankets. This is a very thin blanket. And who knows what this is?
Shock blanket?
What is it?
When you're in shock, it's a blanket too.
It's a shock blanket, you're right. And it's to keep you warm. So it's a thin blanket, but it's very warm. And this is cold weather and it's windy there. So these are our emergency blankets, and we give them to the people. Okay, then they keep moving, so they want to continue on to the other countries. So we try to help out with food and water, and we try to give people somewhere to sleep, but they're moving very quickly. And if we remember the map, they're going through a lot of different countries. All right, this little girl got, this is a food package from the Red Cross on the island. And you'll notice I took this picture because they don't stop. They're moving, they get the food and they walk with their parents and they keep going to get to the next country. And they go on a ferry, they'll take a boat or a truck or a train, and they try to get on to the next country and the next country. Okay, but on the journey they have to sleep, of course. Everyone has to sleep because the journey takes a long time. I sleep every night. I think everyone else does, I hope. I sleep about 8 hours every night. But when there's so many people, there's not a lot of places for them to sleep. So this is a karate stadium, a sports stadium in Athens, Greece, the capital. So people started ending up there and they were sleeping there, but as you can see, it's not very clean, it's very disorganized. People may sleep one night and they move along. I'll just say that here's one of our Red Cross kits. There's one there. They got that when they landed on the beach, so they're carrying that with them through to the next country. And then they're going to keep moving. But as they move, we found out a lot of the children, they don't have anything. There's no toys, there's nothing to color with, they miss school. So we try to set up things to help the kids so they can get some learning, they can even do some drawing, because it's a very difficult journey. And this is a picture of a girl. She was just drawing on the bottom of a box. The box that we gave with the food, her dad tore it up, and then he gave her a pencil and she was drawing a little picture there, and this gave us an idea that we should try to help more with this. So we set up these sites. These are outside the stadium I showed you previously. And there's sites where we have toys, and we have some Red Cross volunteers in the back here who will make sure that everything's safe for the children, and they give them a place to play, and we can try to teach some school if they're there for a long time. But even if they're there for a day, they can draw and have at least feel safe and feel happy and play. This again is one of our Red Cross volunteers, and here's the drawing kits we bought. So very simple, and they have papers, and a lot of the children don't speak English. And this volunteer, she's from Hellenic Red Cross, so she's from Greece. And what do you think she speaks? Greek, that's right. So I can't really talk to her. She has a hard time talking to these kids. The kids from Syria, what do you think they speak? Arabic, very good answer, yes. Syrian could have been a good answer. Syrian Arabic would be a possibility. So drawing is a way we can communicate pictures and stuff. And they started drawing, but this is some of the pictures we saw that the kids were drawing. So you can see it's there's a tank here, there's a teardrop coming out, and I took this picture, and I really thought that some of these kids are coming from a bad place, and this is what they're drawing. So we started to try to help them draw some better things, or some nicer things. This is a tablet, like an iPad or a certain tablet, and it has a program on it where you can see step 1 and step 2 and step 3 of how to draw this peacock. So this girl, I was watching her draw that, then I took her picture. You can see a little bit, and it's kind of a little direction, and then she was moving along, and she was almost done her peacock by the time so they started to make some really nice drawings after we were able to get them some stuff to draw with. Here's a drawing that I took a picture of because they left. One of the girls that drew this, she left. I went back the next day and she was gone. She was moving along, but she left this drawing for me and my fellow workers. Yes, sir. I see a hand up.
What does bread mean?
That's a very good question. I looked it up and in a different language. Some of them I think it means love, but I'm not sure and I couldn't find out myself, and maybe one of you guys can find out. There's a few different languages where that word appears, but I wasn't quite sure. Now here is where people were sleeping, and you can see it was very crowded, and they had toys hanging on the ceiling, and then they had to move on. So the next day, when I went there, it was empty, and that's where I found that picture hanging. All right, so now they're moving along, and they're trying to get up to the next country, and I'll just show you a couple more pictures of that. That they have to get through another border, so they're waiting at the fence. So there's many different families with their children holding up signs saying we are from different countries trying to move along. So I took some of these pictures up there. This is the police from the neighboring country, which is Macedonia. And this is a guy with his family, and they're trying to get through, but they're not yet letting him through. But sometimes people just kind of go through anyway, because they want to get through and they want to get to a better place. So this is a picture of, this is a man, and a mother, and a father, and their kids. And you can see she has a younger baby there, there's a kid there, and I think this was a brother here, and they pulled up the fence and they were going through anyway.
That's walking through barbed wire.
Walking through barbed wire. It's tough. Yeah, very tough. Sometimes they push through the police lines, so you can see this guy here and others came, and a bunch of people went to get through, and this guy somehow got through. He's carrying 2 kids, but I don't know, maybe he's separated from his other family members. So that's it. That's kind of what's going on there in Greece. Yes, sir?
Is there a difference between Red Cross and Red Crescent?
That is a great question. There's actually not a difference. They're both the same. Some countries use a Red Cross, and some countries use a Red Crescent. But both organizations do the same thing in each country.
So Red Crescent. Is there a Red Crescent organization in the U.S. or?
There's not. So each country will only have one or the other. Yeah. So here in the U.S. we have American Red Cross. So I think I'll go to questions, right? I had a little bit of Nepal, but you guys know about Nepal. All right. So I guess I should do this in the way the hands went up in order, and I'll try. I think this guy back here had his hand up next. Yep.
And the slide where there was all the arrows.
Yep.
Was it the thicker the arrow, the more people were emigrating?
That is
or?
a great question. Yes, because the thick arrow was really through Turkey, and then the thinner arrow started to spread out. So that's an excellent question, and that does represent volume. Now, it's not an exact map. I could probably find better maps that really show you the details, but yes, you are correct. Okay, I'm going to go with this young man here with the red hat.
I know what the Red Cross symbolizes, but what does the Red Crescent, the shape, symbolize?
Okay, so it's because of the history. So what does the Red Cross symbolize? You said you know that. What does it mean to you?
Well, it's sort of the symbol for first aid in general,
Mhm.
and if you see any bandage or med kit or something, it'll always have that symbol
Yes.
on it, even if it isn't from Red Cross.
Yes, that is excellent. What is your name?
Lincoln?
Lincoln, that is an excellent answer. You are absolutely correct. In some places in the world, the Red Crescent means exactly the same thing.
Oh.
So in 32 countries, mostly in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, and Jordan, they have a Red Crescent. So if you go to the hospital, you will see a Red Crescent. And it means the same thing. Bandage, it means first aid. So it's the same exact thing, it's just that different countries use a different symbol, but they both mean the same. All right, so I think this guy here had this.
Okay, I know where.
Oh, yes, I'll get over you next, and then you're next, I'm sorry.
I know where all the other people would sleep and get their supplies. Where did you guys sleep and get your supplies?
Well, we sleep, we try to sleep as close as we can to the people we're helping, so we can understand them better. But we have to really take care of ourselves so we can do a good job. So we will sleep close. We have camps. We have whole camps that we set up. So we have good equipment, and we practice at this, how to stay anywhere we need to stay. Sometimes I stay in a hotel. If there's a hotel around, we can stay in a hotel. So we do not sleep out in the field, because sometimes people here have nowhere to sleep.
Except Nepal.
Except in Nepal, which is a great point. So in Nepal, we had an earthquake, and after the earthquake, it kept shaking for a whole 2-3 months. So when I was there, we had a nice hotel, but no one wanted to sleep inside, so we slept outside. Well, I would go in and I would take a shower, and then I would run out and sleep at night, because the shaking, I did not want to have the hotel fall on me. And it took a long time to stop shaking, about 4 or 5 months every day, but then less and less each day. And I don't think it's shaken anymore. So you had your hand up?
So I know you travel a lot. How many languages do you speak?
So I speak only English and Spanish fluently, but I've spoken a lot of language a little bit. So wherever I go, I try to learn something, basic language. I try to learn hello, how are you, thank you. Just like your code of conduct, I would try to learn those wherever I go, and be able to explain to people that I'm courteous and I'm nice. And this shows respect. So I don't learn a full language, and I don't have a lot. I wish I spoke more, and I wish I had a chance when I was younger and learned more, but you guys have that chance now. It would make me better at my job if I could speak more languages now. And also, whatever I say, I'm always try to be honest and courteous. And sometimes we have translators, and then they will translate for people I'm working with. I speak a little bit of French of this. How about you? How many languages do you speak?
Well, I speak one English fluently and
Right.
a couple other languages.
Really? What other ones do you speak?
Mandarin and Spanish.
Wow, that's great. See, you will be a great Red Cross person with 3 languages. When you get older, you'll probably even have more. Okay, so I'm going to go with you, and then you'll be next.
So you know the red crescent on your head?
Mm-hmm.
Does that have anything to do with the Turkey flag? Doesn't it have a crescent on it?
That is a great question. It absolutely has something to do with it. The same way, does anyone know what's on the Swiss flag? A cross, that's right. On the Swiss flag, there's a white cross. And because this guy with the good beard comes from Switzerland, he made the Red Cross. He changed the Swiss flag into the Red Cross to make a neutral flag. Now, in 1913, there was a battle in Turkey between Turkey and the Russian Empire. And the Red Cross wanted to go there and help. And the Turkish Empire said, we don't respect the Red Cross. So that's when the Red Crescent started, right in Turkey. So the Turkish flag, I believe, is red with a white crescent on it, right? And a star. So it's the same thing, it's the reverse. They took the Turkish flag, the white crescent, and they made it red. And they took the Swiss cross with the white cross, and they made it red. So it's very much related, and that's where it started. So it's very much, yes.
So I know when the Syrian refugees, they are sometimes not let into the country. What happens when they aren't let into the country?
Well, that's a
Where do
really
they go?
great, that's a very, very good question. So there's different countries that let them in. So right now, many are in Turkey. But they want to continue on that map with all those other countries. So sometimes they're not allowed. And sometimes they're stuck. Sometimes they climb under a fence like I showed you. Sometimes they try to go to other countries. I do not have an answer, but they keep trying to get to safety and a better life. That's what they're trying to do. Sometimes they are not able to get out of Syria, which is also a problem. And sometimes they are, bad things happen to them sometimes. Okay, I think, all right, this is hard. I didn't know being a teacher was so hard, so, all right, I'll go with you, and then I'm gonna need some help on who to pick next, I think. Yeah.
Do you supply sleeping supplies for anyone? For some of the refugees that come?
Yes, we definitely provide sleeping supplies. We provide mats and sleeping bags. We provide blankets, and we provide tents. That's one of our big activities. So last year, so in this operation, we supplied 300,000 blankets so far. Yeah, and it's not enough, but it's something we do. All right. Mr. Porter's going to help me. All right.
Okay, so I know you went to Nepal and you went to Greece, or in Syria, but what are some other places that you went to help other people?
Very good question. I worked in Africa when we had the Ebola outbreak a year and a half ago. Last year I was still there. Before that I worked in Jordan. I worked in Lebanon, so the countries around Syria. I worked in those countries. I worked in Mexico. I worked in Haiti. There was a big earthquake in Haiti in 2010. Some of you guys were pretty young when that happened, but you might remember. And I've worked in a lot of other countries in Africa and Asia. I worked in the Philippines 2 years ago when there was a typhoon that hit the Philippines. Some of you might have remembered that. I worked a lot in Honduras. I worked in Nicaragua, Mexico. So a lot of different places I've worked. Thank you. Dr. Steve?
I was very curious in the slide, I think right before this, there was a sign in Russian that said police, and I was wondering about the origin of the sign. Where were you when that was taken?
That's the Macedonian police. They
Okay.
use Cyrillic letters.
Right. Right.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
the
so you were in
Balkans.
Macedonia at the time?
Yeah, well, on the border, yes, in between Greece and Macedonia.
Right.
Actually, there was like a no man's land there, and I was behind the Macedonian border guards when I took that picture.
Okay.
Yeah.
If one of the refugees commits a crime, like passing through a border illegally, will the country try and arrest them even through their travels?
Yes, yes, they do sometimes. It's a big problem because there's different laws. There's international law, and then there's the law of the country that they're in. So international law says you must give refuge to a real refugee. And many of these people are definitely refugees under the definition, which is fleeing conflict and war. But just one look at that girl's drawing will tell you where she's coming from. But many of the countries are still trying to put people in jail and prison because they are entering illegally. But so yes, the police are in some places stopping them. What has happened is that this has been going on now for at least a year. Last year in 2015 it was starting to get more each month, but then in September, October, November, there was a real lot of people. And a lot of the countries started to get tougher with the law. That's an excellent question.
When did you become the leader of Red Cross and Red Crescent?
That is a great question. What's your names? Thank you. So, I worked my way up. So I started as a volunteer. And then after I got more experience, and I learned how to work with other people and listen to them and work together, I was able to, they asked me to take more responsibility, just like in your code of conduct. And the more responsibility I took, I did a good job, and I was serious, and I was asked to take more responsibility. So it took a long time. It's been 15 years or close to 20 years overall I've been working internationally. And I'm not always in charge because sometimes I have to go to a different operation and someone else is in charge and I have to work with them. But I think, so I don't know if I answered your question. I became in charge of operations when I became responsible for myself, that's what I would say. When I really started to think I want to do a good job and I want to be responsible, then responsibility came to me. So let's say the first time I was really in charge of something was in, I was in charge in 2007. I became in charge of the Red Cross emergency response for Latin America and the Caribbean. That was 9 years ago.
We were talking about it in class, and you said in the middle of the beginning, how do you stay neutral when you go to all the things?
Yeah, this is such a great question. So it's not easy. Neutral means we do not take a side. So it's very difficult because many people have opinions. Well, we're right and you're wrong, and the other side is wrong and we're right. So to stay neutral, we have to, the way we do it, first of all, is we tell people that we're neutral and we declare it and we get an agreement. So we are something that started in a thing called the Geneva Conventions, and these are government agreements from a long time ago that recognize that we are neutral. So we are established and neutral, but your question is good because we always have to maintain this, and it's not easy. And we do it in our communications, in our actions, and in the way we act with different groups. So being neutral is sometimes it's good. Mostly because we can go anywhere and people will let us come in to help because they know we're not going to make a problem for anyone who's disagreeing. But other times when we're neutral, it means we don't talk. We keep our mouths quiet of what we see. And this is sometimes not easy because if we see something wrong, we still do not talk about it. So it means we have to be quiet. So it's a very difficult challenge. So neutrality gives us access. But access sometimes, in order to maintain our access, we cannot denounce things that we would like to denounce. Or also to just report and talk to others. We have to not to. So what I'm showing you today is just things I'm allowed to talk about of the situation. But I will not be taking an opinion, for example, on the question of the police back there, and are they locking people up? And I say, well, they are, but it's not up to me to really say I think it's good or not good. So that's how we remain neutral. This is a fantastic question, and I really want to thank you for that question. It was a great question.
How do you not become in the same position that the Syrian refugees are in?
Well, how do we not become in the same position? In what do you mean, like we are very much in the same position in that we're close together with them. So we have people inside Syria distributing food right now, today, during the fighting, and we have Red Cross people in Greece and all the countries on that map, from one side of that route to the other. So we're close to them. But we're not, sometimes we are in the same situation, I would say. We have had Red Cross volunteers get hurt. And in Syria, some of our people have been killed because they were just in the wrong place at the wrong time when the battle started, and they shot the Red Cross. So sometimes we do get in the same position. Jack?
Personal question. Where are you from? Because you have an accent, and it kind of sounds like the northeast of
How about you got, who wants a guess?
South Africa?
South Africa. Go ahead, what's your guess?
I'm alright.
He was gonna guess the Netherlands.
The Netherlands. These are good guesses. All right, one more guess.
Sweden?
Sweden, no.
Czech Republic.
Czech Republic. All right, so I'll tell you the truth. I'm from Philadelphia.
That's what I
very strong accent for Philadelphia, but what happened, I have worked so many years so I worked 7 or 8 years where I only spoke Spanish and talked Spanish, and I wrote my emails in Spanish, and I dreamed in Spanish. So I spoke Spanish, and then I worked overseas through a translator. And when you work with translators, you have to talk really slow and stop. So what has happened is my accent has changed. But if you want, I can talk like I talked when I grew up with my buddies out back in the alley, and you guys might not be able to keep up because I really have a Philadelphia accent. So I'm from Philadelphia. Thank you for that great question. And thank you for the guests from the Netherlands. I wish I was from the Netherlands because they're so tall there.
All right, so we have 2 questions remaining, so let's make them good, guys. Yes, go ahead.
Would you ever get stopped at the police if you're coming in?
Yes, that's a great question. We do. We have to work through the police and the army and the militaries and rebels, whoever's there, because we are in dangerous places. So we have to discuss with them, and they do stop us sometimes. And we have to negotiate, we have to talk. We're very good at how we negotiate, and they know who we are. So this symbol is very important because it's recognized, just like you were saying, you know what it is. So people know what this is, but we have to make sure we maintain that it's neutral. But sometimes we do get stopped. Sometimes we're not allowed in. Sometimes we have to go back the next day and the next day and keep trying until we get in.
Last question.
When you go to places like Syria, for example, or in the Middle East, do you ever see like rebellious groups like ISIS or Kurds or
Yes.
any of those?
Yes. Yes.
Do you ever have like interactions with them?
Yes. Yes, we have interactions, and it's sometimes I've had interactions. I've had interactions with Sandinista leftover and Contra rebels in Nicaragua when I started in 1999. In the Middle East, we dealt with we are always dealing with different rebel groups, so we do have interactions with them. That's how we work, because we have to engage everyone to find out who they are, and for us to go in and deliver food, water, shelter, and help some kids, we need to make sure we will be safe going into these places. So we have to deal with them.
Okay, so I'd like to thank you for your time, for coming in today. Not only for coming in today, but for being amazing and carrying out our code of conduct at an international level. And I thought we could do that in a different way. If you know how to say thank you in a different language.
Yeah.
Spasiba.
Okay.